I think we were probably the only high school in the world that had an international test
Cricket
venue.
stadium. If Kandy were an American city, what city would it be?
I think it'll be like a Aspen or, yeah, something like an Aspen.
Yeah, there's a lot of Nigerian students in Mumbai, and they all live in this area called Mira Road, and they have a Nigerian church there,
Wow.
and it's right next to a McDonald's. So if you're driving by on a Sunday morning in this random McDonald's, you'll see a whole bunch of very well dressed African people right out of church.
Kandy is a cool place to grow up. It's a small town. And it was during the colonial time, during the British time, that was the city town of all the plantations. So that's where people would come down to. So the schools were built for the tea planters' kids.
I remember seeing less inequality in Sri Lanka than I did in India. The extreme rich and extreme poor, which India has. And disclaimer, I've been there a very long time ago, but I saw it as a more prosperous on average and less inequality.
And somebody had this brilliant idea saying, what else? We have to go to the Sri Lankan embassy. And we all thought this was like a fantastic idea. This was obviously a night match. So this was past midnight.
Yeah.
And we all got into trishaws, taxis, whatever we could find, and made our way to Chanakyapuri on to the Sri Lankan embassy. And they actually let us in.
So it was an interesting experience because India is a country which is, you could call it a tough neighborhood. We don't drive over to our neighbors, right? You can't drive into Pakistan. You can't drive into China.
So you'd see more of a British influence in where you drive, where you speak, a social class structure and everything. It's the British hangover.
There was a saying back in the day when Indians would land without any support. They would open up the phone directory that's available in a phone booth and just look for last name Patel. And it's a common surname. They're business people. And you could just call up any Patel and they would let you into their house because you were a fellow Indian or fellow Gujarati.
And the second mango story is there's always a guy outside the school gate, the school I went to, Trinity in Kandy. When you leave, there's a guy who cuts raw mangoes and puts chili powder and salt and sell it to you for a couple of rupees.
And when we would interact with other Indian people there, they thought we were living in downtown and paying this high rent because we didn't know Surrey existed.
And I was the youngest president of a 4-year college in Calgary, in Alberta, in Canada at that time.
Wow. I didn't come, respectfully, I didn't come to Canada to live in a basement.